it's important to the community as a whole, and justice needs to be done. That someone took that young child's life, and we're not going to stop till we take care of that.
A police captain determined to solve the murder of a 4-year-old girl a decade after her death. Good evening, I'm Kelly Phillips.
And I'm Bill Leger. Thank you for joining us tonight. The 4th of July holiday is not only a time of celebration, but a time of sadness for many law enforcement officers and the family of Dannarriah Finley. The little girl disappeared from her home in Orange on July 4th of 2002. Hundreds of law enforcement officers and volunteers looked for the child. Just days later, on July 8th, a worker found her body on Pleasure Island wrapped in a bed sheet, dumped on a dirt road. Police say someone had sexually assaulted Dannarriah and strangled her. A decade later, law enforcement officers have not made an arrest, but they remain committed to solving the case. 6 News reporter Megan Dillard explains investigators and those who are close to Dannarriah say the community and the girl's family deserve answers.
Just a very, very sweet child.
A child who never saw her 5th birthday.
10 years later, here we are, and this community still embraces this child because we had never had something to happen in a community that you know your neighbors.
Deborah Mitchell works at the North Early Learning Center in Orange. That's where Dannarriah Finley was a pre-K student in 2002. Mitchell remembers the 4-year-old girl. She still wears a picture of her 10 years after the murder.
We have these tags that we wear in memory of her because she will always be felt amongst those who knew her and knew her family.
Finley went missing July 4th from her home on 4th Street. Investigators believe someone took her from her house during the night. An empty lot is all that remains there. Once news spread of Dannarriah's disappearance, hundreds of volunteers and law enforcement went house to house, street by street, looking for the little girl.
I have never seen this community come together so much. There was no thought of race, no thought of economics, no thought of anything. All it was this was a child who was abducted. Nobody knew. Everybody wanted answers.
A worker found her body 4 days later on Pleasure Island, July 8th, 2002.
There's someone out there that knows.
Captain Cliff Hargrave was a patrol officer with the Orange Police Department when Dannarriah was murdered. Today, he's working on her case.
I think anybody with a child this case would affect. I know I have 2 daughters, and it affected me when it happened. And it's one of those cases now that in the detective division, it's the case I think about constantly.
He showed us evidence tacked to a bulletin board.
This was a sheet that was found.
A sheet at the site where her body was found on Pleasure Island, tire tracks, aerial photos of her neighborhood, even an outfit identical to the one she was wearing when she disappeared. But it's not enough.
Most of the evidence we're hoping for now is going to be people coming forward, people that have information and just for whatever reason didn't come forward then, they may come forward now.
Now, 10 years later, so much time has passed. Yet in some ways, little has changed. Investigators still need answers. So a community can find closure and a little girl can rest in peace. In Orange, Megan Dillard, KFDM 6 News.
And Captain Hargrave told KFDM that investigators are fairly certain of a primary suspect, but they need more information and people to come forward in order to make an arrest.
Call the Orange Police Department at 883-1026. You can also call Port Arthur Police or your local law enforcement agency.